like to support the channel. Also, you can do it by way of Patreon, Anchor, the clothing store, and also the shoe shop that is listed in the comment description below. And again, thank you to any and all of you guys who have been here to support this channel during the 2+ year period. I wouldn't be able to do what I do every single day without you.
Oh my God.
So here we are back at it again with another video that a lot of people like to skate around and skate away directly from whenever I happen to call this type of nonsense directly out. And I'm going to keep reiterating the same point, and I just want to establish this one main thing. You have a lot of women directly out here who state that they do not want to have a father in the household. I've had a lot of women over the years tell me that, oh, just because you got a father in the house doesn't mean that he's actually a father or actually a dad, or sometimes it's more beneficial not to have the man directly in the house because the man is some type of way and yada yada. I've heard every single which way, up, down, left, right, diagonal, whatever you want to sit up there and listen as. I've heard every reason of why it is very great to not have a man directly in the household. So I'm not, and this is specifically for women, so I'm not trying to hear anything about blaming fathers directly out here. I'm not trying to sit up there and even hear it, because as a person that is both, in a sense, a quote unquote stepfather, as some people want to sit up there and say, and as a person that has also tried to talk to kids that were younger and try to inform them and tell them, hey, this is not what you want to sit up there and do. This is not how you, and I'm talking about when I was in my 20s. I would see the younger dudes directly out here, and I'm trying to sit up there and tell them, like, yo, man, you may want to, switch up how you're acting. People are going to look at you a certain type of way, and yada, 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 right? So again, me in my own way, I've tried to inform the younger generation of things, of what not to do. And I've come to the realization that it's a lot easier for me, in a sense, trying to inform young guys or boys how it is that they should move and how it is that they should act, versus trying to tell girls anything. It doesn't matter if it's a woman. It doesn't matter if it's a young woman. It doesn't matter if it's a 15-year-old girl in high school. They not going to listen. Because I done tried to do this in middle school, tried to do this directly in high school, tried to do this during a point of community college, right? And the main thing that I've learned is that girls just don't like to listen. Girls are very hard-headed. A lot of people like to state how it is. I'm sorry, girls and women are very hard-headed. People like to state how hard-headed guys basically are, right? And to an extent, guys are. But with that hard-headedness that is there, we have to learn. It's in a sense, there for a reason. Not saying that it's an automatic that it's going to happen like that, but for a lot of guys, it's there for a reason, so that they can learn those lessons, so that they can actually hopefully become better. For girls being hard-headed, I don't see the lesson. That's not anything of life that has showed me that girls need to have a hard head just to sit up there and learn lessons. That doesn't make any sense, because again, girls actually have pretty easy lives, and we're not talking about the whole extent, because I know how some people like to get. We're not talking about the whole negative extent of other stuff and statistics that people want to sit up there and list. We're talking about the ordinary, everyday, average stuff. Just like the ordinary, everyday, average stuff that boys, guys, whatever you want to list it, has to sit up there and go through. We're just talking about normal stuff. We're not talking about extenuating circumstances and factors and all this other type of stuff. So please keep your emotional banter and your emotional problems to yourself or your therapist or God. Any one of those three, because I'm not it. So my main point is this. Where are the women in the community to come out and call out this type of behavior? Because like I said before, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse at this moment in time, and I feel like I'm the only person that's actually mad about this, because I'm seeing the same history repeat itself. The same way that I'm looking at these girls act is the same way that I've seen girls back in high school act. This is the same way that I saw women during the pandemic act. Twerking on police cars, dancing on police officers, doing all of this other type of stuff. It's talking about it's for justice. It's for women's rights. Crazy, crazy. It's mad work, mad work. But it is what it is, right? And again, like I said earlier in previous videos, every time that I call this out, I always get the excuse of, oh, but what about the fathers? Two-parent household, all this other type of stuff. And again, we can go by statistics. Don't make me go into the statistics of dealing with the fact that a lot of men out here who are quote unquote said to be the father are not even actually the father. Please, let's not do that. Because if you want to bring up the fact that quote unquote men don't want to be fathers, let's deal with the fact that every single time that we look at a show like Maury, 90+% of the time the guy is not the father. But again, like I said in the previous video, even with that, some people will say, well, that's not a legitimate fact. That's not a point. That's just a TV show. All of that is scripted. Well, look at the statistics when it deals with the births in Nigeria and in Jamaica. They're number 1 and 2. They're almost interchangeable at this point in time when it deals with the illegitimacy rate of the births, which means that, hey, when a DNA test is done for either a father wants to know if the child is his, or maybe a father wants to get a DNA test due to the fact that, he may need an organ transplant, or he need a bone donor or something like that. Or let me take you to the worst part, or to the fact that some women, when they are on their last breath, they want to confess that they cheated during their marriage and that the child that this man raised his whole life is not his. So you got 3 different ways of which a man has to sit up there and horribly find out that a child is not his. So if we're going to talk about men not being fathers, let's talk about a lot of these cheating women, both girlfriends, fiancés, or wives, or just long-term partners who decide that they want to step out and then bring back a kid that is not that man's. So like I said, if we're going to go one place, we need to sit up there and go everywhere and hold everybody to the accountability, right? But as I stated before, where are the women of the community to stop this madness? Where? And then you saw the white dude just sitting up there on the porch. I'm not even mad at him. I can more than likely tell you what he was thinking. I'm not even mad. This is one of the few times I'm like, I'm not even mad, because they're literally breaking windshields just to go back and forth on cars, to sit up there and dance, to sit up there and twerk. And I promise you, one of those cars is probably his. And who's going to pay for that? You really think that their parents are going to pay for that man's car? No, they're not. You think that those girls are going to pay for that man's car? No, they're not. You know what a lot of people are going to sit up there and say? Well, we're going to chalk it up to America. We're going to, chalk it up to, racism. This is for my ancestors. Yada. Nobody's going to take responsibility for this. And the women who have these daughters are not going to take any responsibility for this. They're not even going to acknowledge this madness at all. But you know what would happen? If this same man standing on the porch decided to come out there because his property was getting damaged, if he came out there with a weapon, everybody black on social media will be like, oh, it's not even that serious. You could have just told them to move away, yada, yada, yada. Or better yet, maybe he could have just called the police. You know what black people would say? Oh, man, it's not even that serious. You didn't even have to sit up there and call the police. We know what you're trying to do and look for. Even though property is being damaged, we can clearly see property is being damaged. So option A can't just bring out a weapon for intimidation. Option B can't call the police, because then black people are going to want to come up to his house and sit up there and protest, even though their kids are the ones out here stumping the yard on his car and or other people's property. Like I said before, and I know how some people give us like, oh man, you're sounding real like iffy. I knew your content was questionable. No, I'm just calling it out how I sit up there and see it. It's crazy. You can't sit up here and say that, you don't want people to do certain things, but yet you're allowing your kids to go out here and act like this. That's crazy. Like I said before, where are those mothers at? Where are the strong, independent mothers that say that they don't need a man? I need them to come pull up to the scene and start dealing with these girls. Because this is crazy. And I keep telling y'all before, it's going to get worse before it gets better. And if y'all don't get these girls in line, somebody else will. You're not going to like it when somebody else gets them in line, because it might be the last line that they might ever see. So, like I said before, y'all can continue to skate by this. Y'all can continue to ignore this. You can continue to try to blame the fathers, or try to put men directly in the line of sight of this problem. But at the end of the day, if the women don't get these young girls in line, who will? Because these young girls ain't going to sit up there and listen to men directly out here. So they only got you to listen to and turn to. So y'all better start fixing this.